These are not just stories. They are battles for freedom, for rights, for a better world. Listen carefully. Feel their courage. Learn their words. Chapter 1. Harriet's First Chains. Listen. The story begins in Maryland, USA. The year is around 1820. A baby is born. Her name is Araminta Ross. Later, people will call her Harriet Tubman. But she is not born free. She is born a slave. Her parents are slaves. Her brothers and sisters are slaves. Their owners treat them like animals, not like people. Harriet is the 5th of 9 children. Life is hard from the beginning. At the age of 6, she is sent away, not to school, not to play, but to work. She becomes a nursemaid for another family. If the baby cries, Harriet is punished. If she makes a mistake, she is hit. She is only a child, but the chains of slavery are already heavy. Soon, she works in the fields. The hot sun burns her skin. Her small hands pick and carry. Day after day, hour after hour. She is tired, hungry, and weak. But there is no choice. The slave must obey. When Harriet is 11, something happens that will mark her forever. One day, an owner tries to stop a young man from escaping. The man runs. Harriet does not stop him. The owner grows angry. He throws a heavy piece of metal. It misses the man. It hits Harriet. Bang! On her head. She falls. Her head bleeds. The pain is terrible. From that day, she suffers headaches, dreams, and visions for the rest of her life. But she also gains something else, a deep courage. Years pass. Harriet grows into a young woman. She marries a free man, John Tubman, but her heart is not free. Every day, slavery chains her body and soul. She cannot accept it. She cannot imagine one more year in this life. In 1849, Harriet makes a decision. She will escape. 2 of her brothers agree to join her. At night, they walk quietly along secret paths. They head north to freedom. But then, fear. The brothers hear news. Their owner offers $300 for their capture. That is a fortune. Hunters will be everywhere. The brothers panic. They turn back. Harriet goes with them. They return to the chains. Punishment follows. Pain follows. But Harriet does not give up. Her spirit is stronger than fear. Soon she tries again. This time she goes alone. Alone in the dark. Alone on the road. She travels at night, guided by the North Star. Kind strangers give her food. Others offer a place to hide. Slowly, step by step, she moves forward. At last, Philadelphia, a city in the free North. She breathes the air. She looks at the sky. She is free. Her chains are broken. The journey is dangerous, but her heart sings with joy. Freedom is sweet, but Harriet cannot rest. She remembers her parents, her brothers, her sisters, still trapped, still slaves. Her own freedom is not enough. She must return. She must guide them out. She must be the one who opens the door to liberty. This is the beginning. The beginning of a life of courage. The beginning of a fight not only for her freedom, but for the freedom of hundreds of others. Harriet Tubman is no longer only a slave girl. She is becoming something greater, a leader, a rescuer, a symbol of hope. Her story is just starting. The chains are not finished. The danger is not finished. But in her heart, the fire of freedom is already burning, and it will never die. Chapter 2. The Escape North. The night is silent. The stars shine above. A woman walks alone. Her name is Harriet Tubman. She has no map. She has no money. She has no friends waiting. But she has one thing stronger than all: hope. Hope for freedom. Hope for life. Hope for a new beginning. In 1849, Harriet runs away again. This time, she will not turn back. She remembers the pain of the whip. She remembers the tears of her mother. She remembers the chains on her brothers and sisters. No more. She cannot stay. She waits until night falls. She leaves quietly, step by step. Her heart beats fast. What if someone sees her? What if the dogs smell her? What if hunters catch her? But Harriet keeps moving. The North Star guides her way, always north, always forward. Every mile takes her further from slavery. On the road, Harriet finds helpers. A woman offers her bread. A man hides her in his barn. Another gives her a place to sleep. These are strangers, but they are also friends. They are part of a secret network, later called the Underground Railroad. No trains, no rails, only brave hearts, homes, paths, and hands ready to guide a slave to freedom. Harriet learns to move at night, to rest in the day. She learns to trust the stars, the rivers, the woods. Every shadow looks dangerous. Every sound makes her stop and listen. But she keeps walking. At last, she crosses the line. The border. She steps into Pennsylvania, a free state. Philadelphia welcomes her. She feels the ground. She looks to the sky, and she whispers, "I am free." Freedom. She works, she earns money, she builds a new life. But her heart is not at peace. She thinks of her family left behind, her parents, old and tired, her brothers and sisters, still slaves, her niece, her children. How can she be free while they are still in chains? So Harriet makes a choice, a dangerous choice. She will go back into the land of slavery, back into the risk of capture. She will not escape only for herself. She will guide others. She will be a conductor on the Underground Railroad. The first time, she helps her niece and her 2 children. The owner wants to sell them. They are afraid. Harriet whispers, "Come with me." At night, they run. They hide in the woods. They follow the stars. Step by step, they reach the north. They are safe. Next time, Harriet asks her husband to join her, John Tubman. But he refuses. He does not want to leave. He does not want freedom. Worse, he no longer wants Harriet. Her marriage ends. Her heart hurts. But her mission continues. Again and again, she returns. Each journey is dangerous. If she is caught, she will be beaten or killed. But she never stops. Sometimes she carries children in her arms. Sometimes she leads old men and women. She uses songs as secret codes. She whispers prayers in the dark. She holds a pistol for courage and to warn those who want to turn back. Her name spreads. Slave owners fear her. Runaways trust her. They call her Moses, after the prophet who led his people out of slavery in the Bible. But the danger grows. In 1850, a new law is made, the Fugitive Slave Act. Now, even in the North, escaped slaves are not safe. Hunters can catch them and send them back. Helping a runaway is now a crime. Anyone can be arrested for it. Harriet must find a new path, not just to the north of the USA, but further, to Canada, where slavery is completely illegal. It is a longer road. It is colder. It is harder. But Harriet does not stop. Step by step, she leads more slaves to safety, to freedom, to hope. When she looks back, Harriet sees not only her own escape, she sees families reunited. She sees mothers hugging children. She sees fathers walking free for the first time. Her life is no longer her own. It belongs to her people. It belongs to freedom. And so the story continues. Harriet Tubman, the slave girl who became a guide, the woman who turned fear into courage, the conductor of freedom's train. Chapter 3. The Conductor of Freedom. The night is cold, the path is dark. But in the silence, feet are moving. A group of men, women, and children follow one woman. Her name is Harriet Tubman. She walks in front. She knows the way, she knows the danger, and she knows she must not fail. They call her the conductor, not of trains, but of freedom. Harriet has escaped once, but now she chooses to return again and again, back into the land of slavery, back into the jaws of danger. Each trip is a battle. Each trip is a test. But Harriet is ready. She has a plan. She moves only at night. She uses songs as secret messages. When she sings one tune, it means, be ready to move. When she sings another, it means, danger is near. Hide. She uses the stars as her map. She uses rivers and forests as her cover, and always she carries a pistol. Not only for enemies, but for her own people, because some want to turn back. They are afraid. If they return, they can betray the group. Harriet looks them in the eye and whispers, "You live free, or you die here." Her courage keeps them moving forward. The Underground Railroad grows stronger. It is not a real railroad. It is a chain of safe houses, barns, churches, and secret helpers. Ordinary people open their doors. They give bread, water, blankets. They risk prison, fines, even death. But they join Harriet's cause, and Harriet becomes the most famous conductor of them all. Every journey is different. One time she carries a baby in her arms, silent as a shadow. Another time, she hides with a family in a wagon full of hay. Another time, she leads men strong enough to fight, ready to defend the group. Step by step, Harriet guides them north, across rivers, through swamps, over mountains, sometimes walking for weeks, until, at last, they reach freedom, and the tears fall, and the chains break. But freedom is never easy. The danger grows with every year. Slave owners put a price on her head, $40,000 for her capture. Wanted posters with her face appear. Dogs, hunters, and soldiers search. But Harriet is clever. She changes her clothes. She changes her name. She moves like a ghost. One moment she is a poor farmer. The next, she is an old woman with a scarf. And then she vanishes into the night. The hunters never catch her. Harriet is not only a rescuer, she is also a fighter for justice. She listens to news of the world. She sees America moving closer to war. The South wants slavery to stay. The North wants it to end. The nation is breaking apart. When the Civil War begins, Harriet is ready. She does not take a gun in the first battle. She takes knowledge. She becomes a spy. She guides soldiers. She finds information. She helps slaves escape to join the Union Army. On one mission, she leads 700 slaves to freedom in a single night. Men, women, and children. From slaves to soldiers. From chains to rifles. From silence to songs of war. The war ends in 1865. Slavery is destroyed. Millions are free. And Harriet? She does not stop. She spends the rest of her life fighting for equality, for black people, for women, for the poor, for the elderly. She speaks at meetings. She tells her story. She inspires the next generation. Her body grows old. Her head still aches from the wound of long ago, but her spirit never breaks. Think of this woman, born in chains, whipped, beaten, hunted, but never defeated. Harriet Tubman was more than a conductor. She was a light in the darkness. She was Moses to her people. She was proof that one brave soul can change history. And her train of freedom never stopped. It still moves in every voice that cries for justice today. Chapter 4. Voices for Equality. The year is 1858. A baby girl is born in Manchester, England. Her name is Emmeline Goulden. One day, the world will know her as Emmeline Pankhurst. At this time, women in Britain have few rights. They cannot vote. They cannot study at university. Most can only work in small, low-paid jobs. And many die young, tired from hard lives. But Emmeline grows up with different ideas. Her parents believe in justice. They take her to political meetings. They tell her, education is for girls too. From childhood, Emmeline's mind is awake. Her heart is restless. She wants change. In 1873, her parents send her to Paris. There, she sees the world from another angle. But even after the French Revolution, women are still not equal. Still, she learns. Freedom must be fought for. She returns to England. And then, something unexpected happens. She meets a man, Richard Pankhurst. He is a lawyer, but not an ordinary one. He believes in women's rights. He believes women should vote. They marry. They build a family. And together, they begin a fight. Not a fight with swords, but a fight with words, with protests, with ideas. For 20 years, Richard and Emmeline campaign. But in 1898, Richard dies. Emmeline is heartbroken, yet she does not stop. She continues. Her daughters, Christabel and Sylvia, stand by her side. Together, they begin a movement that will shake Britain. In 1903, they create the Women's Social and Political Union, the WSPU. Their goal is simple: votes for women. Their method is bold: action. The WSPU holds meetings in the streets. They write signs. They march with banners. They shout loud. And when the police arrest them, they return stronger. Prison does not silence them. It only makes their voices louder. Christabel is arrested. Sylvia paints posters. Emmeline gives fiery speeches. Their message is clear. We don't want to break laws. We want to make new laws. But the government is deaf. Prime Minister Asquith refuses change. In 1910, he blocks a new law that could give women the vote. The WSPU is furious. On November 18th, Emmeline leads hundreds of women to protest. Police attack. Women scream. Over 100 are arrested. The day becomes known as Black Friday. Tears, bruises, broken bones, but not broken spirits. The campaign grows harder. Some women break windows. Some light fires. For them, this is war. For Emmeline, it is always about equality. Every time she is arrested, she looks at the judge and says, "We want justice." Then history changes direction. 1914. The First World War begins. Britain calls women to work. Nurses in hospitals, workers in factories, farmers in fields. Without women, the country cannot survive. The WSPU stops their protests. They focus on helping the war. Emmeline sees a chance. She says, "Now they will see our worth." And she is right. When the war ends in 1918, the government finally gives women the vote. Not all women, only those over 30 who own property. But it is a beginning. It is victory. Emmeline travels to the USA, Canada, Bermuda. She speaks about women's rights everywhere. Her health becomes weak, but her voice never fades. In 1926, she returns to England, hoping to become a politician. But her strength is gone. 2 years later, in 1928, she dies. Just 3 weeks before her death, Britain passes a new law. Now women have the same voting rights as men. Equality at last. Remember her name. Emmeline Pankhurst. She was not a queen. She had no army. But her voice shook the empire. Her courage opened the doors of democracy. Her fight gave half the nation their rights. Voices can be powerful. Voices can change history. Her voice still speaks today. Chapter 5. Votes for Women. The streets of London are loud. Marching feet, shouting voices, banners high in the air, votes for women. It is the early 1900s. Britain is changing. But one thing has not changed. Women still cannot vote. Men decide. Men make laws. Men rule the country. But women are tired of waiting. And leading them is Emmeline Pankhurst, with her brave daughters, Christabel and Sylvia. The WSPU grows bigger every year. More women join, more meetings are held. More protests shake the city. Sometimes the protests are peaceful. A march, a speech, a song. But when the government closes its ears, the women make more noise. They break windows. They chain themselves to gates. They shout in Parliament. Police run to stop them. Handcuffs click. Prison doors close. But the women do not give up. They sing in the cells. They go on hunger strike. They show the world they will not be silent. Christabel is arrested again and again. Sylvia paints posters and designs banners. Emmeline gives speeches that shake the air. Every arrest, every headline makes the movement stronger. But the fight is not easy. The newspapers call them wild and violent. Men laugh at them. Some families are ashamed of them. The Prime Minister, Asquith, blocks their requests again and again. Then comes the darkest day, November 18th, 1910. Emmeline leads hundreds of women to Parliament. They want to meet the Prime Minister. He refuses. Police attack the women in the streets. Clothes are torn. Bones are broken. Over 100 women are arrested. The women call it Black Friday. It is a day of pain, but also a day of memory. It shows the world their courage. The fight continues. Some women throw stones. Others light fires in empty buildings. Letters are burned. Post boxes destroyed. It is war in the city, not with guns, but with fire and glass. Still, Emmeline repeats her message. We don't want to break laws. We want to make new laws. Every time she stands before a judge, she lifts her head. Her voice is clear. Her spirit unbroken. Then, in 1914, the world itself breaks. The First World War begins. Suddenly, the WSPU stops its campaign. Why? Because the nation needs women now. Women become nurses, drivers, farmers, factory workers. They do the jobs of men who are fighting in the war. The country cannot win without them. Emmeline knows this is their chance. She says, let them see what women can do. And they do. When the war ends in 1918, Britain counts its heroes, soldiers who fought, but also women who worked, who healed, who built. At last, the government cannot ignore them. A new law is passed. Women over 30 who own a house or pay rent may vote. It is not full equality. Young women, poor women, are still excluded. But it is victory. It is the first crack in the wall. 10 years later, in 1928, the wall falls. At last, women win the same rights as men. Votes for all. The journey was long. It was painful, but it was worth it. Because one voice became many. Because many voices became a movement. And the movement changed a nation. Remember the banners. Remember the marches. Remember the broken windows and the broken bones. They were not in vain. They opened the door of democracy. And every time a woman votes today, a whisper echoes from the past. Thank you, Emmeline. Thank you, WSPU. Thank you for the fight. Chapter 6. The Children's Doctor. The year is 1870. In a small town in Italy, a baby girl is born. Her name is Maria Montessori. Her father dreams of tradition. He wants her to marry, to cook, to stay at home. But her mother whispers something different. Be kind. Be strong, study, learn. Maria listens, and she dares to dream, not of marriage, but of knowledge. At school, Maria is curious. She loves numbers. She solves problems. She shines in maths and science. People say, "This is not for girls." But Maria does not stop. She enters a technical college. She studies physics and biology. Then she makes a bold decision. She wants to be a doctor. A woman doctor? In 19th century Italy? Almost impossible. Medical schools are for men only. Teachers laugh. Students shake their heads. But Maria does not give up. She applies. She fights for a place. Finally, the University of Rome accepts her. In 1896, Maria becomes the first woman doctor in Italy. The impossible is now real. In the hospital, Maria sees children. Not ordinary children. Children with mental problems. Society calls them idiots. People lock them away. No one believes they can learn. But Maria looks closer. She sees not broken children, but children waiting to grow. She asks herself, what if they could learn in a new way? She begins experiments. She gives them objects to touch. She shows them simple tasks, how to eat, how to wash, how to play. Step by step, they improve. Step by step, they learn. Her method is clear. Children learn best by doing, by touching, by repeating, by feeling. And slowly, the children change. They smile. They read. They write. They prove the world wrong. In 1906, the government asks Maria to help with a new school in Rome. But this time, it is not for sick children. It is for poor children. Children of workers. Children of the streets. Maria changes everything. No rows of desks. No heavy rules, no punishments. Instead, small tables, open space, colorful toys, objects to hold, to build, to explore. She calls it the Casa dei Bambini, the children's house. The results are amazing. The children focus. They learn quickly. They become independent. They help each other. They enjoy learning. Maria's method is born. Soon, the world begins to notice. Teachers come to Rome to see the classrooms. New schools open in Europe, in America, in Asia. By 1913, there are more than 100 Montessori schools in the USA. Even Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone, supports her work. In San Francisco, Maria demonstrates her method in a classroom with glass walls. Thousands come to watch. They see children learning by play, not by punishment. And they are amazed. But Maria's journey is not only about education. It is also about peace. She believes that teaching children kindness can stop wars. She travels to Spain, to the Netherlands, to India. She trains teachers everywhere. She says, education is the path to peace. When war breaks out in Europe, Maria continues. Even when she is trapped in India during World War II, she keeps teaching. She writes books. She trains teachers. Her method spreads further and further. Maria Montessori lives to see her dream come true. Thousands of schools use her ideas. Millions of children learn in freedom, with joy. She receives honors, medals, and respect. But what makes her proudest is simple. The sight of a child smiling while learning. Remember her name, Maria Montessori. She broke walls in medicine. She broke rules in education. She gave children a new way to grow. And today, in classrooms across the world, her voice is still there. Whispering to teachers, let the children learn in freedom. Chapter 7. Learning in Freedom. A small hand touches a wooden block. The child looks, feels, and smiles. This is not playtime. This is learning. Learning in freedom. The teacher does not shout. The teacher does not punish. The teacher only guides. The child discovers. The child enjoys. The child learns. This is the heart of Maria Montessori's method, and it begins to spread across the world. By 1910, her schools are famous in Italy, but soon other countries are interested too. In the United States, teachers read her books. Parents talk about her ideas. By 1913, more than 100 Montessori schools open in America. Imagine the excitement. Classrooms with small tables instead of rows of desks. Children free to choose activities. Teachers stepping back, letting the children lead. It feels new. It feels revolutionary. Even great minds admire her work. Alexander Graham Bell, the man who invented the telephone, supports her method. He helps create the American Montessori Society. In 1915, Maria travels to the USA. In San Francisco, she does something bold. She builds a classroom with a glass wall. Inside, 21 children learn the Montessori way. Outside, thousands of visitors watch. They see children concentrating, exploring, smiling. The world is amazed. People realize education can be joyful. Education can be peaceful. Education can change lives. But Europe is not peaceful. In 1914, the First World War begins. Millions die. Children lose parents. Schools are destroyed. Maria believes education can heal. So she moves to Barcelona, Spain, in 1915. There, she continues to train teachers. She opens more schools. Her method becomes stronger. In 1929, she helped start the International Montessori Association. Its mission is clear: to protect her ideas, to share them worldwide, to encourage peace through education. But history brings more storms. In 1936, the Spanish Civil War begins. Guns fire. Bombs fall. Maria must leave. She travels to the Netherlands. There, Montessori schools are already popular. By this time, there are more than 200 schools in the country. Maria continues her work. She writes new books. She creates new materials. She trains more teachers. Always with the same message. Help the child grow, and you help the world find peace. In 1939, Maria is invited to India. She travels there with her son. But while she is in India, the Second World War begins. Germany attacks the Netherlands. She cannot go home. So Maria stays in India. She teaches Indian teachers. She speaks about peace. She builds a bridge between East and West. Her message spreads further than ever. She says, "We shall walk together on this path of life, for all things are part of the universe, and we are connected to each other to form one whole unity." After the war, Maria returns to Europe. She is now older, but still full of energy. She trains teachers in the Netherlands, in Italy, in many countries. She writes books with titles like Education and Peace. She explains how schools can build not only knowledge, but also kindness. She is nominated 3 times for the Nobel Peace Prize. She does not win, but her influence is already greater than any medal. Maria Montessori dies in 1952 at the age of 81, but her method lives on. Today, there are thousands of Montessori schools in every part of the world. Children in Tokyo, in New York, in Nairobi, in São Paulo. All touch, explore, and learn in freedom. The whisper of Maria's voice is still there in every classroom. Let the child be the teacher of himself. Let the child grow free. Remember her legacy. A woman who broke barriers. A doctor who became a teacher. A teacher who became a global voice. She showed the world that children are not empty cups to be filled, but fires to be lit. And her fire is still burning. Chapter 8. The Silent Voice. A baby girl is born in Alabama, USA in 1880. Her name is Helen Keller. At first, she is healthy. She learns to smile, to walk, to laugh. But then, disaster strikes. At just 19 months old, Helen becomes sick. A fever burns her body. Her parents pray. She survives. But she is no longer the same. The illness steals her sight. The illness steals her hearing. Darkness and silence cover her world. Helen grows angry. She cannot see. She cannot hear. She cannot speak. She wants to express her thoughts, but no one understands. She kicks. She screams. She throws things. Her parents are desperate. What can they do? Then a little light enters her life. Her playmate, Martha Washington, the cook's daughter. Together, they invent simple signs, 60 signs in total. Enough to play, to laugh, to share a secret. But still not enough. Helen needs more. In 1886, her mother hears about Alexander Graham Bell, the inventor of the telephone. He is helping deaf children. She writes to him. Bell advises her to contact the Perkins School for the Blind. And soon, a young teacher arrives. Her name is Anne Sullivan. Anne is strict but kind. She has poor eyesight herself. She understands struggle. She decides to fight for Helen. At first, Helen resists. She throws tantrums. She pushes Anne away. But Anne does not give up. Then, one day, a miracle happens. Anne takes Helen to the water pump. She puts Helen's hand under the cool stream. With her other hand, Anne spells letters. W-A-T-E-R. Helen freezes. She feels the liquid. She feels the letters. And suddenly, connection. The word and the water become one. Joy explodes in her heart. She touches the earth. What is this? She touches the air. What is this? She touches everything around her. Anne spells each word into her hand. By nightfall, Helen knows 30 words. Her silent prison is broken. The door to language is open. From that day, Helen learns fast. She studies Braille, the special reading system of raised dots. She reads with her fingers. She learns to write. Later, she even learns to speak. Her voice is not clear, but her courage is. At 8 years old, she goes to the Perkins School. There, she meets other blind children. She is no longer alone. In 1900, Helen enters university, Radcliffe College. Anne sits beside her, spelling every lecture into her hand. 4 years later, Helen graduates with honors. The first deaf-blind person in history to receive a degree. The world is amazed. But Helen is not finished. She wants to use her gift of language to help others. She writes books, 12 in total. She gives talks. She travels across America, then across the world. Her message is clear. Blindness is not the end. Deafness is not the end. With education and support, people can rise. In 1915, she starts Helen Keller International, an organization to fight blindness. She teaches that many cases of blindness can be prevented. Her work saves millions. For decades, Helen travels. She meets kings and presidents. She shakes hands with Mark Twain. She visits soldiers blinded in war. She inspires crowds everywhere. But she never travels alone. Anne Sullivan is always with her, guiding, spelling, loving. Until 1936, when Anne dies. Helen is heartbroken. She says, "I cannot explain the darkness without her light." Others step in to help. Polly Thompson, then Winnie Corbally. But Anne remains her eternal teacher. Helen receives honors. In 1964, the President of the USA gives her the Medal of Freedom. In 1965, her name is added to the Women's Hall of Fame. The world recognizes her as a symbol of courage, But more important than medals is her impact. She changes how people see disability. She proves intelligence has no limits. She shows that silence can still have a voice. Helen Keller dies in 1968 at the age of 88. Her last years are quiet, but her legacy is loud. Remember her not as a blind girl in darkness, not as a deaf girl in silence, but as a woman who found light in water, a woman who turned silence into a voice heard across the world. Chapter 9. From Darkness to Light. Close your eyes. Cover your ears. Imagine a world without sight, without sound. This was Helen Keller's world. But she refused to stay in darkness. She refused to remain in silence. Instead, she built a bridge from darkness to light, from silence to voice, from despair to hope. After her studies, Helen Keller does not rest. She could have lived a quiet life, but she chooses the harder path, to speak for those who cannot. She travels across America. She writes books. Her story spreads. People are astonished. How can a woman, blind and deaf, do all this? The answer is simple: courage and education. Helen believes education is the key. She says, knowledge is love, and light and vision. With education, every person can grow. With education, even the silent can have a voice. In 1915, she helped start Helen Keller International, the mission to fight blindness, to save sight. Doctors, teachers, and volunteers join her cause. They learn that many eye diseases can be prevented. They teach villages how to protect children's vision. Thanks to this work, millions keep their sight. Helen also fights for women's rights. She supports workers' rights. She believes justice must be for everyone, not only the rich. Her voice joins many battles, always on the side of the weak. Her journeys become legendary. She visits Europe, Asia, Africa. Everywhere she goes, crowds gather. In Japan, thousands come to see her. In India, she inspires young girls. In Egypt, she meets leaders. In England, she speaks with kings. But how does she speak? She places her hand on her companion's lips, feels the words, and repeats them in her own voice. Her words are not perfect, but her message is powerful. Every audience feels her fire. Anne Sullivan, her lifelong teacher, is always by her side. Later, Polly Thompson and Winnie Corbally continue the work. Helen never walks alone. In 1962, a play about her childhood appears. It is called The Miracle Worker. Audiences cry when they see little Helen discover water. The play becomes a film. Millions learn her story. Millions are inspired. Helen becomes more than a person. She becomes a symbol of the power of the human spirit. Awards follow. In 1964, the U.S. President gives her the Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest honor. In 1965, she enters the Women's Hall of Fame. But Helen always says the true reward is not medals. The true reward is helping others find their way. At the end of her life, Helen sits in her home in Connecticut. She is old, but her smile is gentle. She thinks of Anne, of Polly, of Winnie. She thinks of the millions who learned from her story. She feels proud. She feels thankful. On June 1st, 1968, Helen Keller passes away. The world mourns. But her light does not die. It shines in every school for the blind. It shines in every girl who refuses to be silent. It shines in every person who believes that courage can change fate. Remember her, not as a girl trapped in silence, but as a woman who found a way to speak to the world. Her journey proves that limits can be broken. Her legacy proves that darkness can become light. Helen Keller's voice still whispers today, "Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see the shadow.